Gents, this kind of rhetoric comes from somebody with a fundamental misunderstanding of what men want. Instead of asking questions, informing herself, and getting clarity on what she doesn't understand, she'll get on social media and attempt to shame men into bowing to her whims. What's good, good people? Welcome back to the Modern Man Africa YouTube channel. In today's episode, I thought I'd do things a little bit differently by starting off by saying the video I'm about to react and provide commentary to is the one that gave me the push to start this channel, because the statements that are made are so outlandish, delusional, and beyond the pale that I was unable to let this ridiculousness slide unchallenged. To be honest, I was just floored at how wrong one could be without actually realizing it, while simultaneously being misguided and smug. Look, I've been known to be petty back in my day, so I figured, let me make some time and go all in. I'll continue being the better person another time. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into this.
I know right now that, there is this thing that some men are doing where they're creating an impression that older women have an issue with men approaching or dating younger women. If anything, we are okay with you doing that because we've come to understand that you want to be in relationships with people who don't challenge you, who don't ask you questions. I mean, I'll give you a typical example. When this man who was older than me wanted to marry me, I remember he didn't want me to have a voice. I couldn't ask him questions. If he comes home in the morning, I couldn't ask him where he was from. When it came to finances, he didn't want me to have a say. I didn't know how much he earned. I didn't know anything about those things. In fact, there would be even instances where there wouldn't be food in the house, but this man would be wanting to go to clubs to pay for people's bills, because that is where the adoration and the admiration would come from. What I actually realized is that in these kind of relationship dynamics, as scary as it is, some of these men were actually looking for women who would just say yes to everything. Because when you're young, they are prone to manipulate you into agreeing to everything because you are still trying to find your voice, because emotionally you haven't developed, right? Or, a person, you would actually catch them cheating and they would basically blame you as if you were the problem, as if you were the issue. And can I tell you something? They were never actually even satisfied with getting young women. If anything, the access to young women was actually a pathway to the accessibility of more young women.
What?
Because as he walked around with a young woman, more young women started to see themselves with this man, because this young girl looked as if she was well taken care of by this old man, when in anything, they were just being used, they were just being objectified to fit this bigger picture of the fact that at that age, with having all that money, they could actually have access to whoever they wanted.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And these ones who were stuck in the system of being financially provided for didn't have a way out, because now they were used of the lifestyle, the glamour, and everything that came with these type of relationships. So date them. We don't have an issue.
First of all, gentlemen, be careful of faux femininity. Don't let her soft-spoken demeanor blind you from the fact that she speaks in sign language and personal anecdotes, which she extrapolates to all men. We've come to understand that you want to be in relationships with people who don't challenge you, who don't ask questions. Come on. This is the kind of statement one makes when they haven't taken an objective deep dive into the dating and relationship environment, or the marriage rates neither. If she had, she'd realize that of the relationships that graduated into becoming marriages, in 75.6% of those, the man was older than the woman. I've actually published an entire video on the marriage and divorce rates in South Africa according to Stats SA, so if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and watch that after this. So, according to her logic, these men did so not because men are attracted to youth and fertility, but rather for power and control. I don't think so. She goes on to mischaracterize older men in relationships with younger women with another flawed anecdote, one of which I actually agree with the dude with. She complains about not knowing his level of income, and rightly so, because you're merely dating, or perhaps even more accurately by the sounds of things, Bro was smashing. You weren't his spouse. You're not privy to that level of information merely because he rearranges your guts from time to time.
Dig her fucking guts out till she motherfucking busts!
Gents, this kind of rhetoric comes from somebody with a fundamental misunderstanding of what men want. Instead of asking questions, informing herself, and getting clarity on what she doesn't understand, she'll get on social media and attempt to shame men into bowing to her whims. This just speaks to the insecurities around her own value in the sexual marketplace when it comes to age. Instead of aging gracefully and adding value in other facets of her life, women like this try desperately to cling to beauty and attraction as their main shtick to attract and keep a man, and are upset by the outcomes they get as male attention diminishes with the passage of time. His coming home late or asking you for financial assistance is indicative of the type of man that he is, regardless of the age gap between the two of you. Any man who spends money on settling bills at the club instead of buying food and groceries for the house is a man-child. He could be the same age as you and behave in the same manner, and I'll tell you the same thing. Just take accountability for the man that you chose. I always find it interesting when I hear women say they were young and underdeveloped in one breath, and in the very next breath exclaim, women mature faster than men. Your age mates are deemed juvenile and immature while you're in your prime SMV years and think you know it all, but the second those prime years are in the rearview mirror, now all of a sudden they come crawling back, oftentimes cradling another man's baby. Funny how that works. Perhaps in the most brain-dead 30 seconds on the internet for 2022, she pontificates that older men don't effectively like younger women, they only use them to attract more younger women. Huh?
Bitch, are you dumb?
Pardon me?
Are you dumb?
I think she's
I
dumb.
think she's dumb.
Ma'am, look. I can't believe I need to spell this out to you, but if one doesn't like certain outcomes, they wouldn't willingly continue with behaviors that would produce more of those outcomes. Look, here's some cold hard truths that young men need to navigate on their journey to manhood. Women are and men must become. It takes time for men to create the kind of value that's useful to themselves and those around them. As such, women are entitled to maximizing their return on their peak sexual marketplace value. If you've ever been a young man at a university anywhere in South Africa, or the world for that matter, you know the pain of watching your age mate baddies getting scooped up in the freshest rides, going to the most budget-busting parties, and generally living a life that is way out of their income bracket thanks to the men that are providing it for them. Men, on the other hand, generally don't get less attractive as they age, as long as they look after themselves. Oftentimes, older men will have the qualities that women are looking for in general in a man, such as stability, the ability to provide, protect, and produce. Therefore, men are entitled to maximize on their peak market value once they've reached that point. You're expecting men to pick you during their prime, while they weren't even a second thought to you during your prime.
Bruh.
Gents, don't let these salty war victims with diminishing SMV shame you into settling for a former has-been that's been passed around in her youth, knowing full well that she wouldn't have given you the time of day while she was the hottest ticket in town.
Damn!
Alright guys, what are your thoughts on this trend of women recently having a mouthful to say about older men and their age mates dating younger women? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please hit the like and the subscribe button, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I'm trying to grow this channel and eventually get monetized. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch this one over here where I break down my dating non-negotiables. Thanks for watching. Peace.